Howdy folks, Argsy here. I'll tell you what, it's a little bit cooler now than it was a couple of months ago when I was out fishing. That video brings back some memories though. It was some good fishing that night. Pleased to go and catch a couple of things too, and I'm looking forward to spring coming around and being able to get out and going fishing again, but certainly not going to be doing it in this weather. It's winter chores at the moment. There's not a huge amount to do anywhere actually, except for get things ready for spring and for planting. I'm expecting the first of our FBN deliveries today. If you remember from a couple of videos ago, we did order a whole lot of our inputs, seed, fertilizer, etc. We ordered those through FBN. We got that deal from the Millennial Farmer where we got 0% interest. So we haven't had to pay for anything yet, which is fantastic. But in other news, we have gone down a little bit of money, and obviously we've been trying to make some repayments on that loan that we found out about last time as well. So the $5 a month basically going down on that, which is interest of about $2 and capital of about $3. So it's going to take some time to get that paid down, which is going to be a little bit frustrating. Plan for today, well, we've got to hang around here for this delivery. I'm not sure what time they're coming in here, but we're going to actually go grab the International, get hooked up to the planter, and just start going over some things before spring does get here. We want to make sure that that's all set up and ready to get going. So we'll jump up in here and go and get it pulled over towards the shed. I don't actually think the planter will fit in the shed. We might just have to back it up and do the best we can in this and around the snow. So we'll go and see. Let's just see how this is going to start. How's she going to go? Look at that, first time. No issues there, but she's going to need some work too, looking down at that damage bar before we do anything in spring. But let's just go and get backed in. I was just about to say, I do wonder if we could back the planter in there, but I don't think it's going to fit in there either. Those aren't the biggest bays. If only we had a shed with a roof on it. But let's go and get hooked up to the planter there. We'll go and get backed up over to the shed. We'll do the best we can with the hand that's been dealt to us, and having a look at how it's all going, how it's all looking, and whether we need to do any work on it, order some parts or not. Alright, well there we go. I think we've managed to get that backed in. Just be able to squeeze in through here so that we can at least work on half of it on this side in the shelter here of the shed. We won't get too wet and damp from the snow, so we can at least work on these rows. Once we've had a look at them and gone over them, we'll be able to turn it around and do exactly the same in from the other angle once we've moved the pickup. So we'll get into this. Like I said, we've got FBN turning up at some stage. What else is there to say? Still doing some work on bins. There hasn't been any change there from the bank. They're still, even though we've managed to make a couple of repayments, they're still not prepared to take any risk on loaning any more money to the farm. And I've given it some more thought about whether it's something I want to buy, and I've decided, no, if I'm going to invest in anything, it's going to be equipment. It's going to be something I can take with me if things really go pear-shaped. If the farm went under or anything like that, at least I could drive off with a tractor or a combine or another piece of equipment. So that's what we're going to do. We are looking at what we might have that we want to buy, and in fact we are going to head off. There's a yard sale happening over at farm, a closing sale, a whole lot of equipment that's up for sale, so we're going to go and check that out in just a little while as well. So like I said, lots of winter chores to do, so let's get into it. Well, we've got about halfway through it, and she's not looking too bad. A few closing wheels need a little bit of attention. We might try and replace a couple if we can source some new ones. There's a couple of bearings that probably need to be replaced, but all in all, not looking too bad. A few loose bolts and that, but nothing you wouldn't expect off something this old. All of the supply pipes and everything like that come out of the seed boxes, they're all looking good. Nothing needing to be done there. The boxes all look in pretty good shape too. Had a look at the fertilizer tanks. No, not too bad. We are only looking at half of it though too. We do need to get in and look at the other side, but it does bode well for that side being in a good condition as well. But you'll see in the background there, we've had Farmers Business Network have turned up, so we need to get this out of the way. Grab the skid steer out, and we're going to come and stack all of the seed and fertilizer up against the back wall here in the shed. So we'll go and get that sorted out and go and get this truck unloaded. Alright, looks like we've got some pro boxes there with some corn. I think that's our soybean seed that was coming bagged, which won't be too bad actually because we're just putting it into those little hoppers, so doing it out of bags probably isn't going to be a bad deal. And then it looks like some big bags of fertiliser sitting up there in the front, so I think the driver's got a jack up in there. He can wheel the boxes and pallets and everything back as we go and drag them out with the skid steer. So we'll go and grab this out. Hopefully she's going to start as well and go and start getting these unloaded. Oh, look at that, first time. Perfect. Not everything's as run down around here as I'm making it out to be. Alright, let's have a look and just see. Try and get this in the right spot to get it picked up. I'm a little bit worried about the weight. These boxes are bigger than I remember them being. Let's just get in there gently. Oh. Let's see. Oh, I'm a little bit worried. Let's just lower that down there and see if we can get the forks in just a little bit better. There we go, that looks better. Oh no, we're alright. There we go. There's no sudden movements. Lower that down. Just want to drive with it as close to the ground as you can. And let's go and get these stacked up. Now I think we put the corn seed on this side. In fact, there's probably not a huge amount. We can probably just about line it up across the back, but we'll try and keep everything together and get it all unloaded in the same spot. So we'll just get this done and we'll see when we're finished. And there we go, last bag of fertiliser. So 4 fertiliser, 2 pallets of seed and 3 pro boxes. I'm pretty sure there's still 1 more pro box to come. We've also got some herbicide that we've ordered too for tackling any weeds and that. So there is still at least 1 more delivery to come from the FBN guys, but that is them done. So we'll just turn that off. Hopefully we've left enough space to work on the seeder. We should be good on the planter. So just going to double check. I don't think there's anything else in there. No, so we'll just go and sign the delivery docket, record that we have got what we expected, and these guys can get off, and no doubt they will have plenty of deliveries to get done elsewhere. There we are, good to get that all into the shed and into storage, knowing that we are all going to be good to go when it comes time for planting. So, speaking of planting, let's get the planter back in, carry on working with that. We've got about an hour and a half, I think we've got to head off and go and check out this yard sale, closing sale on one of the farms over in that direction, somewhere over that way. So we will go and find them and go and check out what they've got for sale. I'm hoping to pick up a sprayer. I have heard there's a couple of sprayers over there. Not sure what else they're going to have, but we're really only limited with what we're needing to buy. We're definitely going to have to get a sprayer. That's one of the main things that we are missing at the moment. So we'll go and see what they've got for us. Well, that's us all done here checking out the planter. Again, a couple of closing wheels, a couple of the press wheels as well on this side, which were a little bit more worn. I think it might have been one of the shafts, actually, the drive shaft, or whatever you want to call it, that they mount onto might be just a little bit worn out. So I think we might be looking at replacing that. But otherwise, fertilizer tanks, there was one hose which was a little bit loose, but just tighten the clamp up and that seemed to fix it. So that's us all done. Going over the planter for now. We are going to have to order a few parts, get a few bits and pieces in here just to get that up into shipshape condition. But we've got to get to this yard sale, the closing sale at the other farm. That's at midday. So I'm going to go and get this all put away, get this tractor out of the snow. I don't think that the planter fits in that shed over there with the truck, but we will go and check to see whether we can get it in between the posts. I don't think it does, but let's just go find out. Well, I'll tell you what, there is mere millimetres in it. Let's just go and have a look. I think if we didn't have the guide arms on the side there, the row markers, we'd make it in. But look at that. That wheel up the top. Just squeeze in on that side with it if we didn't have it, and we would get in on this side if we didn't have that row marker. So it is, my goodness, it's incredibly close. And that's a bit of a shame, actually. I might just see, I wonder if we can maneuver it so that we put one end in, kind of how we were parking it into the shed. But if I can get it around there, I wonder if I can just get it to squeeze in. I'm going to give that a quick go, because it would be so good to get it into some cover and out of the snow. No, that's not going to work either. Because it's a tow behind implement, I don't think I'm going to be able to manipulate it through how I had hoped. So we are just going to have to put it in here so it's at least out of the way, not going to get whacked or crashed into or anything like that. And maybe get a tarp or something, see if we can get it covered, at least so it has some protection. But we're just going to park it back where it was in here. Obviously this shed, once it gets finished and covered, it is going to be a great asset to the farm, but until then we're kind of stuck with what we've got. So let's just go here, we'll get that all disconnected. There we go. And let's go and get the tractor put away as well. I might even actually go and put this over in the shed over here, because it probably needs a little bit of going over too. Just looking at the state of this, it wouldn't have been looked at for quite some time either. So we'll just park this in here, enough space to get to the skid steer in case we need it, and we'll come back, and that could be another one of our jobs for the winter, another one of our chores. But let's go and jump in the pickup. It's time to head down for a drive and go and check out this yard sale. So as I understand it, this farm is just up the right here. We turn right at the main dealership. So we haven't really been down here and explored this part of Taheton, but that is the dealership just there. There's another grain elevator and that down that way. And I think one of the big operators, one of the big time operators, is down there as well. I've seen some big silos and things like that. But just up here on the left, there's a bit of a farmyard. In fact, this must be it right here. There we go. Look at that. All the equipment out, ready to be looked at. So let's go and have a look. Now, for transparency, I have $100,000 that we've brought with us from our time in Chilliwack that I'm prepared to invest back into the farm. So I'm going to leave that up as a figure on the top of the screen there next to the farm money, and you'll be able to make sure that we're not spending money anywhere else. But let's just get everything turned off, lights and everything like that. Let's go and take a look at what they've got. A few things they're getting rid of here. This farm's apparently been sold, and we might try and find out a little bit more about that, see who's bought it. But clearly I'm not needing any equipment, because these guys are selling up everything. Wouldn't it be great if we had some more money? Old International 1480, I think, looks like about a 20-foot header. That's even smaller than what we've got at the moment, so wouldn't be much of an upgrade for us, although it would be running 2 combines, which should be kind of nice, but probably not that needed. 155 Series 3 white tractor. That'd be nice just for the cab, but again, I think the International we have has as much, if not a little bit more horsepower, so probably not much of an upgrade again. And like I said, we've got to be careful of our money. That truck's seen some miles and not in the best condition either, is it? Look at the rust there on the cab. Probably pick that up for a very pretty penny. Carry on over this way and have a little bit of a look. Now, this is something we haven't actually talked about, actually, getting into some anhydrous. And that's also another option, something we could consider looking at doing in the future on the farm. Maybe on our corn ground, put some anhydrous on just before winter, get that all injected and into the soils, and boost the nitrogen for the next season. Obviously soybeans don't need it, but definitely something we could look at doing for corn. I'm not sure if we'd get a real big benefit from it, but it'd be worth trying out, wouldn't it? But maybe for next time. But look at this, the old Haggy sprayer. That would be nice to have, wouldn't it? But again, that's a little bit out of our price range, but this is what I heard about. Best way, is it 2400? 1200. Might be a 1200 gallon tank on the back, I think. Around this side. Best way 1200. So I'm not sure exactly how wide the boom is on that, but it's not too bad. I mean, we've got probably what, 90 foot there, so this might be a 60 foot boom. Looking in pretty good nick. They go for about 30,000, I think, new. So if I can pick this up for, I don't know, anything around 12, I think that's going to be a pretty good deal for us, and will certainly help when it comes to the spraying. But look, the auction's about to start. I'm not sure where this is on the auction list. We'll just have to wait and see, but it looks like it's all the equipment I've got here. Pretty nice old yard, really, isn't it? Bring some cattle down here. I wonder if we can find out who's buying this, whether there's an opportunity to supply them some cornstalk bales, because that's something else we did talk about doing, isn't it? Keeping the cornstalks, baling those up and selling them. But anyhow, let's wait, see what happens with some of these other pieces of equipment, and we will get our bidding hand ready and see if we can pick up that sprayer or not. Would you believe it? The combine went for 15 grand, including the header. That is a bargain. I don't know whether it's the cold weather or the lack of interested buyers. Maybe it's just not big enough for farms around here, but gosh, that would have been a steal. The white, I reckon it must have been going to a collector. That went for an exorbitant amount. Don't know why anyone would have paid as much as they did for that tractor, but there we go. Right, we're going to carry on moving on. Got the anhydrous gear they're going to go through next, then we're on to the 2 sprayers. Look at that, that Haggy sprayer held its value, 120 grand there. Well, I hope whoever bought that wasn't looking at this for a sprayer. Hopefully that is going to be all they need, because we're moving on. So now our time to shine. I got 75 for the 80. 75 for the 80. 75 for the 80. $80 for the $80. I got 75 for the 80. 75 for the 80 for the $80. I got 75 for the 80. 80. Got 75 for the $80 for the $80. Yes or no? Gonna go 75 for the 80 for the 80. I got 75 for the 80. 80. Last call. 75 for the $80 for the $80. I got 75 for the 80. Well, there we go. It's ours. I said I wanted to spend about 12 grand, 16,000. That's what we ended up paying for it. So still cheaper than new. I'm hoping it looks or performs as well as it looks. It's in some pretty good looking condition. So hopefully everything's in good nick. I did give it a good look over before. All the pumps and everything, they all seem pretty nice. All the valves, couldn't see any corrosion or anything on them. So I think it has been pretty well maintained, as has all the equipment. Well, apart from the truck up the front. So I reckon the farmer here has taken some pretty good care of it. But it's been interesting having a chat to a few of the locals. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in the truck, but we're going to get hooked up, take this away. We've written out a check. Would you believe it? Somewhere that still takes checks. No, we have made an internet payment for that, so you'll see there we are down to $84,000 of our money, and we'll be certainly on the lookout for a few more of these opportunities. A baler, like I said, for some corn stalks is something we'll be getting into, but let's go and grab the pickup. Should be able to get this hooked up, no worries to that. I think we've got all the hitches sorted, so let's go and get that and head on back up to the yard. Let's have a look here, and there we go. Yes, we can get that hitched up, so that's all good to go now. I think all those are just hydraulic lines for the pumps and things like that, so we'll just make sure they look like they're pretty well cable tied there onto the drawbars, and they're not going to fall off and get wrecked or anything like that. That'll be the last thing we want. Just give those a whack. Yeah, there's plenty of pressure in those. Going to just double check the other tyre. Like I said, everything around here looks like it's been very well looked after. Yeah, that tyre's fine too. Alright, let's go for a drive. We'll get back down to the yard, and yeah, I'll just fill you in on a few things. We've had some very interesting conversations. Well, now that we're out of there, let's just get across the road here. I'm going to take a little bit of a longer route here home, because we heard some interesting information from a few of the locals there, and I'll tell you a bit more once we get across this intersection. Lots of people out going about their business. Right, that looks like us clear. Let's head on across this way. So I mentioned it on the way down here, one of the big farmers, and it turns out that that poor farmer that we just went to, that yard, has been bought out by these guys. They are up here on the left, this big yard. They sound like they are going around and trying to monopolise the area. They're trying to buy up as much land as they can. So the first whiff they got that farm could have been in a bit of trouble, they were in there offering them enough to bail them out. So I think we need to keep an eye on them. I also heard that they've been going around taking on some leases and paying more than market value, so I can only assume that was who took on that lease that we were going to be looking at. So I don't know, we're going to have to be mindful. We're almost their neighbours. We kind of back onto them, the yard backs on to where they are, but they've got all this big land through here. This is sort of the very open area, and they're expanding, they're cutting down trees, they're buying land, and they're just spreading their wings out as far as they can, picking up whatever they can. So we don't want to see the farm absorbed by them. We don't want to give up what we've got. So we're certainly going to have to be kept on it, or certainly going to have to keep on our toes. But anyhow, very, very interesting news. Let's get on back down to the yard. We'll get this put away and see what else we've got to do today. Well, now that we've taken up all the space there in the workshop with tractors and seed and fertiliser and things like that, looks like we're going to have to try and get the sprayer backed in and parked into the shed here. It looks like it should fit. Wheels aren't quite as wide as the seeder was, as the planter, so let's just see. In fact, that's going to fit in there like a glove. Perfect, like it was made for it. Let's just get ourselves straightened up and make sure that we're in there nice and square. Alright, that looks good. And that can sit there now, pretty much until we need it for spraying come, well, late spring, maybe early summer, if we get any weeds that pop up in any of our fields. Fingers crossed we're not going to get too many. We have ploughed a lot of it, so there's a good chance that we don't need to, but we'll wait and see what comes in spring. So we're going to leave that there for now and go and get things tidied away for the day. Well, that's us done for the day. I think there's not much else we can do on any of the equipment in there, so we're just going to head back on into town. We're going to go and grab a bite to eat. We will be calling it quits for there, so a little bit shorter, sweeter episode, but we have got some wonderful winter chores done. Probably won't see me again now until we're ready to get started on some seeding and things like that in the spring, so fingers crossed, come late February, early March, we'll be out in the field, so we'll just have to wait and see what the weather brings for us. So, as always, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that episode, and I'll catch you in the next one.